Good morning, everybody from Tan. I am so happy to be here today with Josh and Mary from Fjorge, our newly minted Tan member here in the Twin Cities. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank
Excited
you.
to join.
Great. Well, as you know, just a little bit of backstory. Many of you, at least who were at the Charleston meeting, for sure, got a chance to meet Mary Cook, who was with us, and they were so gracious to be our sponsor at the Charleston event earlier this year. And after that, Mary and I got to talking. It's like, it really kind of makes sense for Fjorge to join as a regular member, since we're sort of broadening what is an agency and you folks with your development background supporting agencies are looking a little bit more and more like an agency. So I'd like to, first of all, just offer you an opportunity to introduce yourself. Let's go to the newest face first to us, Josh. Josh, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, Josh Tech, president here at Fjorge. I've been with Fjorge for 10 years. I started as a developer, so I've gotten to work with a lot of agencies uh, in person through projects. And kind of to your point, sometimes we've been coined the agency for agencies. And so, yeah, we really enjoy being part of the agency world.
Great. And Mary, reintroduction of yourself, please.
Yeah, it was so great to meet so many of you in Charleston and had great conversations with a lot of folks coming out of that. We're really excited to be a part of the community. The last gathering that you had, I came away very energized, and oftentimes that's not the case. You come away from a conference feeling drained. So I'm really excited to get back into that energy and make more connections with all of you.
Great, thank you. Well, let's hear a little bit about Fjorge. Either one of you are happy to tell us a little bit about the history of the agency, how long you've been in business, and maybe how you've morphed over the years. We've all morphed.
Yeah. You want me to take that one, Mary?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So we've been in business for 20 years. Tim Martis is our founder, and he started when he was actually still in college. He had a fellow agency that asked him to kind of support on some technology that they didn't understand. And I would say probably 4 years after that, they told him either you're going to hire some people or we're going to hire them for you because we need more of your services. And so we started in the agency space. We've definitely evolved over time. I know when I joined Fjorge about 10 years ago, it was a lot of content marketing. We were doing a lot of WordPress websites, things like that. The market has changed. It's changing rapidly now with AI. Tools are coming out that make it easier for people to accomplish the things that we're trying to help them with, which is awesome because when we build something for someone, we want them to own it. We want them to be able to, as marketers, control the content on their properties. But over time, we've kind of migrated into some of the harder stuff, which is complicated integrations for websites, back-end applications that are running businesses, whether that's e-commerce or a sales portal. And now we have the world of AI, and we're using that to change how we do business and how we build for people. And we're also helping people build AI into their products as well.
Great. Mary, since you lead business development, as I understand, I'm curious about those conversations. How has the AI revolution so far really changed those conversations that you're having with prospects? I mean, are they wanting to take on more responsibility and have a partner in all of this, or is it still sort of an outsourcing model?
That's interesting. We're having a lot of new reality conversations. There's agencies who have gone off and maybe they've built, I had one who built the entire front end of a boating website. It was an e-commerce website. And they brought it to us and they said, hey, we made the front end. Can you hook it up to the back end? And I was like, sure, except for we have to take a step back because there's a whole lot we have to do on the front end in order to reconnect that back with the back end, right? And so what they realized through that conversation is, man, we thought we actually built half of the website, but what we really did was build very high-end, realistic prototype. So it's moving into people think, having some of those like come to Jesus meetings. We're also having folks who, are visionaries, marketers, founders who are coming to us and they vibe coded an entire application they wanted to bring it to market and they're scared to close their computer and their cloud terminal because the whole thing might explode. So they're coming to us and we're having to say, hey, let's take a step back. There's a lot you have to do to get this up and out into the world. And there's still a lot you have to do to manage and maintain your piece of software after the fact. So it's a long-winded way of answering the question, Andrew. But
Well, I think it was very short-winded. I mean, literally, I'm thinking to myself that we could have a full webinar about all of this, and we probably should. But actually, that is an interesting question for both of you. And I'm just curious because, a lot of us have sort of vibe coded a lot of different solutions, whether that's an internal agency solution or it's client facing something. I'm just curious. I would love to know and maybe Josh as a developer, would you say that, and I'm guilty of this, I vibe code something and I think that I've just created the next, NVIDIA or something like this, like the next rocket ship. And then I have yet to have actually a real developer do a code review or anything and say, hey, this thing is only like 50% of what it needs to do. And you think it's 100% ready to go to market. What are you running into? Are you running into having to unwind people's visions, or are you building on top of what they're doing?
Yeah, I'll try and keep it short because we could go into an entire webinar here. Um, Short answer, most of the code it's producing, I think is great code. It's sufficient with where you're at or what you're trying to do. Um, I got into this because I love to build cool stuff. And there's never been a better time to try and test ideas that you have and build things. I think where we see the market going and what agencies are going to have to contend with is there's a lot of excitement around that initial build. You get to, take something that's a vision in your head and bring it to life. But what happens after that? And I would say there's a lot of things that I've vibe coded even for Fjorge. And when I'm done, it's kind of like, okay, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Who's going to take this over? And a lot of what we do and the experience that we have is how do we build things that will scale and last over time? So there are some modifications that have to happen from that standpoint of like, we can see your vision, it's built well, the code is great, but we'd make a few changes so that it can scale out to, the customers that you envision having over time, and then what has to happen on a monthly basis to make sure that it's getting updated.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for the answer. I think, like I said, I know a lot of TAN members, and I get a chance to take a look at the tools that they're building, and I think some of them are great and functional and all this. Sometimes it's just fixing a solution that you just need to have done, and sometimes it's a product, and you never really know which one is which. Well, with our last few minutes together, I'm curious if you can just sort of share with us, outside of doing great development work and great support of agencies, what do you think Fjorge is just really great at? Whether it's culture or building a learning environment, and what are some things that you're seeing as a challenge that maybe other TAN members and your membership in TAN would be able to help you with?
Yeah. Um, if I could sum up what makes Fjorge great, it is our culture. We are an in-person company. We had to navigate that through COVID, and now we're a hybrid company. But what we saw during COVID when we went completely remote is we kind of lost that culture. And the stuff that we work on is hard. A lot of the problems that we solve are hard. Some of the challenges and solutions that we're creating with agencies is hard. And being in person and being able to collaborate on that stuff is kind of what has lifted us up and made it a great place to work. I think challenges going forward is kind of maintaining that. We want to maintain work-life balance. We also have an office now in Africa, and so we have an entire portion of our company that's remote. So how do we replicate that culture? Because it's not so much about being in the office; it's more about being able to lift everybody up. And so what we saw during COVID and what we're challenged now within our remote offices, these junior developers, how do we bring them up? And what I learned was watching people at Fjorge speak to agencies and work through those challenges. And so just being able to witness that is something that was really valuable to me. And so as we continue to scale and help agencies, we're trying to navigate that. Even we would most of the time do our check-ins with agencies in person. We're in Minneapolis. We have a lot of agencies here in Minneapolis. We would walk through the Skyway, meet with them in person, and that really helped.
By the way, for those of people who do not know, the skyways are the magical linking of buildings in downtown, so you don't have to go outside in the winter. So, and Mary, you were at the Charleston event. You saw what happens at these events. What do you hope to sort of learn moving forward from your other agency peers who are there?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, Andrew, I came away really energized from the event. I felt like there were interesting conversations. I had book recommendations. I had when your gears are turning and thinking about the next thing, and hey, oh, I want to follow up with you and have this continue our conversation that we had over dinner. Is that just type of real human relationship as it relates to the business that we're in and the work that we do that I find valuable.
That's great. Well, thank you to the both of you. As you know, we do have an upcoming our global conference in Montreal this fall. I hope to be able to see both of you there. Of course, everyone's invited, but thank you so much for your time. We're so happy to have you as members, and we'll be able to get together soon, face to face, as we have a tan culture as well, and it is very dependent upon us getting to know each other as individuals. Running an agency is I think one of the hardest jobs out there, to be quite honest with you. And it's great to have a community, and we really look forward to having you be a part of our community.
Thanks, Andrew. Likewise.
Yeah, we're excited.
Great, thank you.